Hello everyone, this is Witcher the Wizard, and I'm back again for your Twin Flame, Twin Within energy report for the week of October 7th through October 13th. So let's get right down to it. Just to recap, I pull one tarot card for the feminine energies, one tarot card for the masculine energies. Now, this is intended to be a guide for your own personal internal energies. I personally feel like the twin flame journey is ultimately a journey to go within, to really embrace both your own masculine and feminine energies, see where you're imbalanced, bring them into balance. And when you do that, that's when you will come into the fullness of your own self and your own life. And in fact, when I got onto this journey 2 years ago, or when I was sort of in the midst of it 2 years ago, I picked up this rune necklace, and I didn't even know why. I liked it. I was out at the Renaissance Festival here where I live. I liked it. I picked it up, and it's the Manaz rune, right? Manaz is the Norse rune. It means man, and in the old Germanic Norse language, man meant human. Didn't mean male. Male actually was ver, as in like werewolf. That's where we get ver, and it's also the Latin root for virile. So it meant human, men and women. That's where we get mankind, right? And it was only later, much later, that it was changed to mean male instead of just human. So Manaz is as you can see. God dang, I put it away. Pull it back out. As you can see, the Manaz rune, it looks like maybe two people staring into each other. And it's supposed to represent the perfect human is the perfect balance of masculine and feminine. So it's kind of the infinity mirror, looking into itself and creating that perfect balance. And that's when you know you're a human. You have that perfect balance of masculine and feminine. Intuitive and analytical, spiritual and material. It's sort of that perfect balance. So I pull two cards. I pull one for the masculine energies, one for the feminine energies, and then I pull an oracle card from Colette Baron-Reid's Enchanted Map series. I'm using the Wizard's Tarot by Corrine Kenner. I really like it. I recommend you check it out. I love the visuals, and I love Corrine's very open-ended descriptions for all the different cards, which allows you to sort of grow to know the cards in your own particular way and not just as somebody else has prescribed them. So the feminine energy I pulled was the Eight of Cups in reverse. All right, Eight of Cups in reverse. Well, so the Eight of Cups is a card about walking away from something. So cups, that's emotional. That's the emotional energy. And as you can see, all 8 of those cups are empty. Right? So this is something in your life, or quite often a lot of things in your life that aren't really serving you. You're pouring a lot of energy into them. They're taking up a lot of your time, your attention, your emotional energy, your physical energy, whatever. And they're not really doing anything for you, right? This happens in life. A lot of times it's it's a lot of small things in our life that were previously an important part of our life or a useful part of our life, but we've just outgrown them. Or there are things that we've put a lot of effort and energy into, and it hasn't really reflected our energy back to us, right? It hasn't really given us a good return on our energy. So we need to leave those things. And a lot of times it's extremely hard to do this. Even if it was something that previously was really beneficial to you, but you just need to move on from it. I think that's one of the hardest ways to walk away from something. I mean, the really traditional example of it being difficult to walk away from something you've invested in is when you're sitting at the gambling table and you've lost money, and you might fall into this trap where you're like, oh gosh, I'm down, like $200, $300, $400, whatever it is, and you just, maybe you don't even think you can get all your money back, but you're like, gosh, if I can just get like half my money back, then I can walk away. The problem is that you keep losing, and that gap keeps getting bigger, and so the emotional pain of walking away from that gets bigger and bigger, and it gets harder and harder to walk away. And what that does is it shuts down the analytical side of your brain, the swords side of your brain, and you fall deeper and deeper into this emotional investment that gets harder and harder to walk away from. So that's one example of where you continue to, what we'd say, throw good money after bad, because you're emotionally invested, and it's just painful to cut your losses and walk away. But that's exactly what you should do once you recognize that you're in that situation where no matter how much of your time, energy, effort, money, emotions, whatever you pour into that thing, you're not going to get a positive return. So you got to walk away from that. So the other example of walking away from something is something that used to be a very positive aspect of your life, but it no longer is for whatever reason. And I think this is actually the harder thing to walk away from. And I will give you a very real example. So I spent 18 years in the San Francisco Bay Area working in the technology sector, and I had worked my way up to some really good positions, and I was making six-figure salaries, and I just got to a point where I couldn't do that anymore. For, at the time, reasons I didn't understand, but I'll just say now that just was no longer part of my life path. And so in 2015, I just walked away from all of that. And I moved back to my hometown, and I'm starting, really on my spiritual path. But it's taken me a long time to really get on my current path right now, because it's just super hard for me to walk away from the 18 years I had in what used to be something that was very good to me. And in terms of providing me with money and a sense of accomplishment and things like that. I don't think it wasn't healthy for me overall, but the money, six-figure salary, the money was great. It made me feel accomplished. And so, I mean, just the other, like this whole time that I've decided that I'm on this new path, I have yet to be able to change my LinkedIn profile, which is that's a kind of a Facebook for professionals, to show that I'm doing something new, that I'm doing actually energy healing, and I'm going to be, doing more services in the spiritual world. And it's been really difficult for me to do that. And the outcome of that is that I am still dragging behind me 18 years worth of emotions that is just draining my energy. It's like making it really difficult for me to move forward on my path, because I just have not been able to cut ties with that old part of myself. So even though I'm actually not actively putting time and energy and effort into that past, it's still there. I'm still dragging it behind me like a big anchor. And so I just need to cut ties with that, let it go, so that I can free up all of that energy to walk away, to do my new thing. So there we are. So the feminine energy this week really needs to take a look at where they are holding on to something in the past that's not really serving them anymore, where they are putting energy into something that's not serving. And when I say serving, I mean, you can tell something's serving you or not is when you put energy into it, and does it reflect that energy back to you? And you can tell sometimes it takes a little while for things to start reflecting back to you, but after a while you just know that you're like, okay, I keep putting more and more energy into this. I try different ways. It's just not reflecting back to me. I gotta do something differently, right? And so that's what I mean by it's not serving you. You're pouring your time, attention, energy, money, whatever. Money is energy into something that's not being reflected back to you. Then you need to walk away. You need to walk away from it. Let it go. And just be like, all right, well, that wasn't a wasted effort. That was something I tried. And didn't work. And sometimes, we have to do that. We, especially when we're not really tuned in to our higher guidance, right? When we're not tuned into our higher guidance and we're kind of just grasping at straws, which sometimes, that's what you got to do in life. That's okay. And it's okay to put your energy and time and effort into something and then realize, yes, this isn't working out. I mean, it's okay. It's not, it's not a bad thing. It wasn't wasted time or effort. You tried, and you realize it's not working out, so you let it go. So anyway, that's for the feminine energies, 8 of Cups in reverse. So, just do a scan this week of yourself and find out where am I putting time, energy, effort into something that's not reflecting that back to me. So, interestingly enough, for the masculine energy, we have the High Priestess, right side up. So the High Priestess is being in contact with your higher guidance, right? It's tapping into your psychic senses, your clear knowing, your clear seeing, your clear hearing, all of your psychic senses, your intuition, the Akashic records, the web of weird, however you want to call it. It's getting that guidance from your higher self, and your guiding spirits. And it's when you do that, it's kind of a shortcut, right? It's a shortcut to having to blindly grasp at straws and say, well, what if I try this or what if I try that? Right? If you really focus on tuning into your intuition, your intuitive guidance, then this can save you a lot of time, effort, and energy, right? You won't have to walk away from those 8 cups as often. And so one of the ways that you can really start to tune into your guidance is that, so for me, I started to distinguish what's the difference between like intuitive guidance, spirit guidance versus my own thoughts. And it was literally like when I get an intuitive guidance, it's something that just comes in out of the blue. It's just out of the blue. Where did that come from? I used to write that off, and now more and more often, I'm actually paying attention to those things that just pop into my head, and I try it. I do it. see what happens. And I make note of that too, right? So the things that generally are generated from my brain, I'm consciously generating those thoughts. And they're based, I can follow them back to a beginning point. Why am I thinking about this? Where did this thought come from? And I can always follow it back to some concern I have or some plan I have or something like that. But when it's intuitive guidance, now it's always going to be intuitive guidance on something that's rolling around inside of my head. But it's a thought that just literally pops in from nowhere. And I'm like, where did that come from? It's like one of those crazy things that pops into your head. Well, that happens a lot more often than you realize it. Most of the time, we don't pay any attention to it because it's not part of our mental agenda. It's not part of your mental agenda, then more than likely you're just going to discard the thought right away. But a lot of times you'll just get a random, seemingly random thought that pops into your head. Make a note of it. Like, make a note of when that happens. When you go, oh, that was weird. Where did that thought come from? Well, write it down. Whatever it is, whether it's, one time I was walking into my office and I had just come from a lecture and I just had this thought pop into my head to keep the goofy pen that they gave me from the lecture in my shirt pocket in case I needed to give it to somebody. And I thought, well, that's ridiculous. And I was going to keep the pen in my car because it's always nice to have extra pens in your car. And then I thought, no, I'm going to put that back into my shirt pocket. I'm going to go into the office. And sure enough, I ended up giving it to somebody, right? Now, is that going to make a difference in my life later on? I don't know. But what it did was it allowed me to realize that to kind of more easily distinguish when these intuitive guidance thoughts are coming into my head. So, as far as I'm concerned, that was the real win. Was I had this just sort of seemingly random thought pop into my head about that pen, and I followed it, and something actually came from it. So, that was just an example of how to distinguish intuitive guidance from your normal thoughts. So, and the high priestess coming up in the masculine energy means that don't just notice when those thoughts are coming into your head. Act on them. Do something with it, right? That's the whole point of masculine energy is action. It is your action, right? So your feminine energy, gives you your guidance. It gives you your, sense of who you are and what you want in life, and where you want to go. And your masculine energy is the energy that actually gets you there, right? It's not supposed to be the navigator energy. It's supposed to be the driver energy. It drives you to your destination, right? The feminine energy is the navigator. That's the energy that tells you where to go. So the masculine energy, pay attention to the high priestess, to your guidance. Get really good at noticing the difference between your regular analytical mental thoughts versus your spiritual guidance, and then act upon those things and just see what happens. Keep a little notepad with you and make notes and just go, oh, okay, well, this thought popped into my head. I acted upon it and this was the result. And as you do that, it's kind of like meditation, right? The more you practice meditation, the better you get at focusing your energy inward, which is where your energy should be focused most of the time, like the 80-20 rule. Like 80% of the time, your thoughts and your energy should be focused inward towards you, and 20% of the time externally. And most people have that flipped. It's like 80% of the time it's focused externally, 20% of the time internally, if that, maybe 10, maybe 5%. And yeah, I'm like I'm like the president of that club, so I'm not getting down on anybody for that. I'm just saying that it should be flipped around. But yeah, so the masculine energies, pay attention on those intuitive guidance and act upon them, right? And if you do that, you won't have to be walking away from those empty cups as often, because your intuitive guidance is there to steer you in the right direction, right? It's the shortcut. It's the game cheat. It's gonna, it's gonna tell you where all the treasure is hidden. Right? You don't have to search every room. You don't have to like try every different avenue. It's the GPS. So that's that. Then for the Oracle card, I pulled, it's called the Unexpected Visitors in reverse. See if I can get that out of the light. It's a cool looking card, but it's not really focusing that well. Anyway, Unexpected Visitors, and I'm going to read that for you. All right, unexpected visitors. If you expect the unexpected, you'll be prepared for a miracle. All right, that kind of goes with what we've been talking about, listening, tuning into your intuitive guidance. In the reverse, unpleasant news is only unpleasant when you resist accepting what is. Sometimes the thing most desired is kept away from you because it's not for the highest good for you or others. Sometimes there is loss or disappointment due to a destiny whose pattern can't be understood yet. Change is something that may be forced upon you, like bad weather that threatens a boat. Adapt to the shift in conditions and think how beautiful the sky will be afterward. Accept what is, and a more fulfilling path will soon be revealed. Remember that if you expect the unexpected, nothing can come as a shock. So certainly I can relate to the whole idea of that change is something that may be forced upon you. When I was walking away from my high-paying job in the Bay Area, I did not understand why that was happening. I was definitely being forced. I just got to the point where I couldn't function anymore, and I just knew that I had to make a change. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know why. I was definitely not in a place where I was tapping into my high priestess energy yet. That was a long road ahead of me to get to that point. I'm starting to do that on a regular basis now, but still not great at it. And so if you can just accept the fact that you don't know everything that's going to happen in your life, and that sometimes things happen that while at the moment, at the time, it doesn't seem like it's a good thing, it will ultimately lead you to something better. So I'm a lot healthier than I was back then. I'm becoming a lot happier, certainly as I get more and more into the work that I'm doing now. I'm much happier. And the pain of walking away from those cups is lessening and lessening the more I let go and just walk away and trust my higher guidance. Right? So that's it. I hope you all have a great week. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It doesn't really matter if you do or don't, but I like it. It makes me happy. It makes me know that at least somebody out there is, enjoying what I'm doing and maybe getting something good out of these videos. So take care. Have a great week, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.